everybody. This is Miss Fennell reading pages 8 and 9 and the page 8 and 9 questions to you. So starting here on page 8, I'm just going to read it. So we have ecological organization. How do living things affect one another? Figure 3, real world inquiry. In this figure, the smallest level of organization is the organism. The largest is the entire ecosystem. So we have one individual organism, which would be a black-tailed prairie dog. We have a population, which would be a prairie dog town. And we have a community, all the living things that interact on the prairie. So just continuing to read this page, how is an ecosystem organized? Most organisms do not live all alone in their habitat. Instead, organisms live together in populations and communities that interact with abiotic factors in their ecosystems. Organisms. Black-tailed prairie dogs that live in prairie dog towns on the Nebraska plains are all members of one species. A species is a group of organisms that can mate with each other and produce offspring that can also mate and reproduce. So an organism is one that can mate and reproduce. Populations, all the members of one species living in a particular area are the population. The prairie dogs in the Nebraska town are one example of a population. And communities, a particular area that contains more than one species of organism. The prairie, for instance, includes prairie dogs, hawks, snakes, and grasses. All the different populations that live together make up the community. So these are actually three definitions that are really important. I'm going to go back up and show you up here on the page. An organism is one prairie dog. A population is a group of the same organism living in the same place at the same time. So you can have a population of prairie dogs on the prairie. You can have a population of prairie dogs in the state of Minnesota. You can have a population of prairie dogs in the United States. So it's how many of the same species are in a given area. And then a community are all of the various populations in an area together. So you have on the prairie a population of badgers and a population of prairie dogs and a population of prairie chickens and a population of prairie grasses and everything else that's here. And all of those things together make up the community. So an organism is one, a population is a group of the same kind, and a community are populations of different kinds all together, all living things. All right, going on to page 9. Ecosystems. The community of organisms that live in a particular area along with their non-living environment make up an ecosystem. A prairie is just one of many different ecosystems found on Earth. Other ecosystems are deserts, oceans, ponds, and forests. Figure 3 shows the levels of organization in a prairie ecosystem. The smallest level of organization is a single organism, which belongs to a population that includes other members of its species. The population belongs to a community of different species. The community and abiotic factors together form the ecosystem. Because the populations in an ecosystem interact with one another, any change affects all the different populations that live there. The study of how organisms interact with each other and with their environment is called ecology. And that's the name of our current chapter, is ecology. So just going back here, we had one organism. A group of those organisms living together is a population. A group of different groups of different organisms living together is the community. And the community plus the abiotic factors that affect them is called an ecosystem. All right. And the study of ecosystems is called ecology. And so that is the two book pages that you were supposed to read. So now going into the questions. So if you would go open your questions, let me see if I can. Looks like this. It's called, oh, you guys don't have it in your materials yet, but it is called pages 8 to 9 ecology book questions. If you would go to your materials and open that, I'm going to do a preview here. You have one attempt to do this. I'm going to read the questions for you here. Match the following words with their definition: an organism, a population, a community, and an ecosystem. So if you go back to the book pages, an organism is one, population is a bunch of the same, and a community is a bunch of different populations together. An ecosystem is the community plus the abiotic factors that affect them. So the community of organisms that live in a particular area along with their non-living environment. So you're going to take that and drop it. Is that an organism? Where did it go? Is that an organism, a population, a community, or an ecosystem? All the different populations that live together. Was that an organism, a population, a community, or an ecosystem? Again, you're going to drag and drop that one where you think it belongs. All the members of one species living in a particular area. Is that an organism, a population, a community, or an ecosystem? I'm going to go back here so you can kind of use this page maybe if you have to pause the video here and go back and forth. And then a single living thing. A single living thing. Is that an organism, a population, a community, or an ecosystem? All right, next question. Place the following in order from smallest to largest. So you're going to drag and drop these. So the smallest one is on the top. And the book pages are here. We first have an organism, then a population, then a community, then an ecosystem. So pause the video right here and go and drag and drop your answers for question 2. Question 3, an ecosystem that includes the abiotic factors, includes the abiotic factors, parts of the environment. Is that true or false? Does an ecosystem include abiotic factors? You can look at our ecosystem definition here. All the living and non-living things that interact on the prairie. Number 4, match the level of organization with its representation. So you drag and drop these. Which one of these is an individual organism? Which one of these is a community? Which one of these is a population? Which one is an ecosystem? You got to know those 4 words. So once again, an organism is one individual. A population is members of the same species. Community are different populations together, different groups of living things. And the ecosystem are the living things plus the abiotic factors that affect them. So go ahead and drag and drop those. Match the following levels of organization with an example. So an organism, would that be a whole ant colony, ants, birds, and trees, or an individual ant? A population, which one would that be? Again, this is a drag and drop question. I like these. All right. Number 6, match the levels of organization with an example. And here we're looking for an organism, a population, and a community. So which one of these is an individual organism? Is it raspberry plants and black bears together? Is it an individual raspberry plant, or is it a raspberry patch? Which one is an individual organism? Which one is groups of the same organism, a population? And which one is a community? The living things plus, or different populations in an area, excuse me. Number 7, same thing. We got organism, population, community. We have an individual mushroom, we have a group of mushrooms, and we have mushrooms, grass, trees, and weeds. Which one is an organism? You have to, again, drag and drop here. Which one is an organism? Which one is a population? Which one is the community? And same question, a school of salmon, an individual salmon, or salmon, bears, and grass. Which one is which here? Which one is an individual organism? A population, members of the same species together, and a community is different populations together. Number 9, all of the different kinds of organisms in a forest. Is all the different kinds of organisms, so the birds, the trees, the grass, the deer, is that a community or a population? A community or a population? And then last but not least, how do living things affect one another? So short answer there, you gotta type in, how do living things affect one another? It said it in the book pages here. If you can think of a way that living things affect one another. And that's it for today. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.